welcome back to course Big Data Analytics and Business Intelligence. So our today's topic of video is functional versus non-functional requirement. So in the previous video we come to know about the BI project life cycle. So we understand what are the different phases involved in the BI project life cycle. So very first phase in the BI project life cycle is requirement analysis. So during the requirement analysis we come to know about functional and non-functional requirement. So very first thing we understand what is requirement. Requirement is nothing but a what we can say, requirement is nothing but a need. Okay, expectation. Requirement is nothing but a expectation of a user. Okay, it's a service which software will provide. So you can say that requirement is nothing but a need or expectation of a user from a particular software. So very first phase in a BI project life cycle is requirement analysis and its gathering. So requirement, we understand what is requirement. Requirement is nothing but the expectation of a user from a particular software, or you can say need. So that requirement is being divided into two parts. So it is a functional requirement and non-functional requirement. So in this video we are going to understand what is requirement and how that requirement is classified into two categories: functional requirement, non-functional requirement. What are the differences and their examples. So let's start with a very basic. What is requirement? So requirement is what? It's a service that software will provide, and we can say that requirement is nothing but a need of a particular customer that he expect that particular software should provide. So these requirements are classified into two categories: non-functional requirement and functional requirement. So first of all we discuss about functional requirement. So I'm going to tell you the basic difference between functional and non-functional requirement. Functional requirement are those requirements which are mandatory, which are necessary. Means if a particular software is there, so we think that particular software should satisfy this requirement, just like a human being. Generally we say that food, shelter and home, these are the basic requirement of a human being. But at the time we also want car. So car is an additional one. It is not a thing that it's a basic requirement. We talk about the basic requirement: food, shelter, food, shelter and cloth. Food, shelter and cloth, these are the three basic requirement of the human being. So we can say that they are the functional requirement. But we also have four-wheeler with us, so this is considered as a non-functional requirement. It is not a necessary that everyone should have four-wheeler, everyone should have two-wheeler, but still we have, so it is considered as a non-functional requirement. So we'll try to understand what is functional requirement and non-functional requirement in terms of a software. So what we can say, functional requirement, it will tell what system should do. Okay, the basic thing, what we expect, basic thing that should be present in a particular software, that will be treated as a functional requirement. It's actually a list of actual services which system will provide and user expect from the system. Okay, suppose we purchase a particular phone. Okay, so particular phone, so what is the basic purpose of phone? We can able to make a call and we can able to receive a message. But nowadays is it the case that phone we are only using for receiving call and sending SMS? No, we are accessing the internet or the mobile, we are using camera, so a number of things are there. So we can say that these are the non-functional requirement. But what is the basic functionality of that particular phone? That we can able to make a call and we can able to send a message. So this is considered as a functional requirement. Okay, so all this functionality need to be necessarily incorporated in the system. If we talk about a particular software, then we consider that functional requirement are that which must be there in that particular software, and the requirements stated by the user which one can see directly in the final product. So this is what a functional requirement. So let's take a simple example to understand the functional requirement. So authentication of a user whenever she log into system, so we consider it as a functional requirement, because any software, any system that you develop, so in that case you expect that it should provide authentication. That means it should ask for username and password, and then it will allow to log into that particular system. So this is considered as a functional requirement for the software. Okay, Now next we discuss about non-functional requirement. So what is non-functional? As I already told you the basic difference. Non-functional requirement are additional requirement which may be there or which may not be there. Functional requirement are mandatory, it has to be satisfied by particular software, but non-functional requirement are those if it is satisfied by that software, then it's good. If it is not satisfied, there is no problem. Okay, so these are not mandatory. Functional requirements are mandatory, whereas non-functional requirements are not mandatory, and it will tell how system should behave while performing the operation, means while executing, while performance, just like that. You can make a call, means if you are using a particular smartphone, so in that case you are using it to make a call, so your expectation can be there particular phone should operate in a very faster way, its touch should be very smooth. So these are considered as a non-functional requirement, they are additional in nature, they are not mandatory. So it should tell how should the software system fulfill the functional requirement, means non-functional requirement tells how it's fulfill the functional requirement. It basically the quality constraint. Non-functional requirement represent the quality constraint that the system must satisfy, and a non-functional requirement is also called as a non-behavioral requirement. And mostly non-functional requirement deals with the issues like portability, security, maintainability, reliability, scalability, performance, reusability, and flexibility. So non-functional requirement deals with this. We want that our software should be portable, it should not use only in the Windows environment, so we can able to make use it on a Apple phone also, we can make it use on Windows as well as on a Linux platform. Then our expectation is that it should provide a very good security, then it is a very reliable, it is scalable, its performance is up to the mark. So these are all will be the part of your non-functional requirement. Non-functional requirement deals with the performance, it deals with the quality constraint. And again I can say that non-functional requirement are not mandatory. If it is there, then it's okay, if it is not there, then it's okay, but if it is there, it increase the means performance of that particular system. So we will take a simple example to understand non-functional requirement, that site should load in a 3 seconds. Okay, this is considered as a non-functional requirement. Suppose you develop a particular website, so in order to load this website, it takes some amount of time. So if user specify that my website should be loaded in a 2 second, 1 second, so it is considered as a non-functional requirement, it is not a mandatory requirement. Suppose you have site, so you can say that it should have authentication system, it is considered as a functional requirement. But suppose you are saying that it should be load in a 3 second, 2 second, 5 seconds, so it is considered as a non-functional requirement. So these are the various functional requirement and non-functional requirement. Most of the time it is observed that students are getting confused about a requirement, means they understand the requirement but they find it very difficult to classify or differentiate between that which requirement is a functional one and which is a non-functional one. So in the simple way I can say that functional requirement is very very important, just like a human being required food, shelter and cloth. Okay, non-functional requirement is nothing but a four-wheeler. If we have four-wheeler, this is considered as a non-functional requirement. So in the last section we are going to discuss about the differentiation, what are the basic difference between functional and non-functional requirement. So the first difference, it defines the basic functionality, and non-functional requirement works on the quality attribute of a software system. Then functional requirement should specify what should the software do, but non-functional requirement should it will tell how should the software fulfill the functional requirement. And functional requirements are specified by the user, whereas non-functional requirement are specified by a technical person such as architect. Then we can say that functional requirement as mandatory, it is necessary, but non-functional requirements are not mandatory. Functional requirement helps you to verify the functionality of a software. I just told you about the testing. What is testing? Testing is the process of checking basic functionality of any product, whether it provide a basic functionality or not. We can take a simple example. Suppose we are purchasing a ball pen. So what is a basic requirement? It can able to write. Now other requirement can be there, that my ball pen should be lightweight, it should long lasting, its ink should be long lasting. So all these are the non-functional requirement. Okay, so functional requirement helps you to verify the functionality of software, but non-functional requirement are additional requirement. Okay, it helps you to verify the performance of a software. And functional requirement are very easy to define, whereas non-functional requirement are a little bit difficult to specify. Initially user didn't understand what are the non-functional requirement. It's just specify what are the basic functionality that he or she expect from a particular software. And finally we have just taken the example, authentication of a system considered as a functional requirement, whereas you are saying that my site should provide that much security, my site should load it in that particular time. So this is considered as a non-functional requirement. So I hope you understand what is requirement. Requirement is nothing but a expectation of a user from a particular software, and it is being classified into two categories: functional and non-functional. Thank you.